what was the overriding factor that derailed the consortium's bid? Was it majorly beIN Sports and the top six clubs, which was reported at the time?
Yeah, I think I did play. I think that did play a factor, but the actual the real reason, if you want to drill down as to why the takeover didn't go ahead, was proving the degree of separation between the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, which is basically the sovereign wealth fund, and the actual state, the kingdom's rulers, Mohammed bin Salman and others. Being unable to prove that. My understanding is they were unable to prove that, as in they weren't given the opportunity. Saudi PIF lawyers were ready to go into bat and prove that, and weren't given the opportunity to do so. My suspicion on this is, should separation not be proven, then it would be very easy for the Premier League to reject the bid outright, because they could then tie it in quite legitimately to the BOQ, beIN Sports, piracy.
Okay, so my next one was about the human rights, if that affected it, or was it purely about like the piracy and the business side of it?
Richard Masters, when there was a letter sent by Hatis Cengiz Jamal Khashoggi's supposed widow, when that was sent out, Richard Masters did acknowledge it, and he said it would potentially be considered. My understanding from speaking to people in and around the deal is that it wasn't. I don't think human rights ever really came into the conversation. I think that was more paying lip service to the letter and to the deceased's widow. So I don't think human rights did, and that's the thing. I don't think recent human rights issues with the CIA report, etc., tying PIF in some way, shape, or form towards the assassination makes it much of a difference. I don't think the Premier. I think that's one thing that people need to realise about the Premier League, that they aren't whiter than white. They aren't almost arbiters of right and wrong.
Yeah.
They were purely more interested. It was about self-interest. So there was the issues. There was a lot of people within the Premier League did not want this deal to go ahead because of self-interest.
That's why I mentioned about the Big Six, because there was a lot of reports about, I think it was Liverpool and Spurs, if I remember correctly, that they were very against it at the time.
Yeah, they were. They actively railed against it. There were a number of other clubs. Trying to think through, Man City didn't. Manchester United weren't overly happy with it. Chelsea were indifferent, and I don't think Arsenal played a hand. But the two were Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur, both out of self-interest. But like I say, the Premier League weren't going to reject this on human rights. They were going to reject this on piracy.
Yeah,
and that was basically their product being affected, and protecting their club. So it was largely self-interest why this wasn't pushed through.
Okay. Do you believe that the consortium can still buy the club despite the overwhelming effort from other parties to, stop it, to derail it?
They think so. Yeah, they think so. So I've got no reason to doubt their confidence. Speaking to them quite recently, they feel they're in a very confident position with the way things are going. I can't really talk too much about it, but I think they feel like they're in a decent place. Of course, everyone's frustrated. It's gone on for a long time.
Yeah.
They all wanted to be in last year, and relegation causes a real and present danger to any deal. That's not what I'm hearing from them, but I think logic and common sense would suggest that it becomes very problematic if Newcastle United are no longer a Premier League club. I think that's largely due to the obviously would PIF effectively wanted to buy the football club, not only as an investment, because they can make investments anywhere around the world and look to make decent returns. I mean, you're looking to turn Newcastle United from a PIF investment of 270 million up into the billions. They want Newcastle United could quite quickly, within 5 to 10 years, become a £2 billion football club, much like Manchester City has or others. It could happen. So there is a financial interest in buying into this football club. But I also think you could buy anybody around the world and do something similar. There's a reason why they want to buy in England, and it's the Premier League. The Premier League is a product that exported across the world, seen by millions of people effectively. It's probably, in terms of reach, it's probably the biggest export this country has ever had in terms of the amount of people who watch Premier League football in all four corners of the world. There's a big reason why that's one big reason they want to be waving the Saudi flags high.
So it would be like a flagship, similar to the Sports Direct of Ashley, but in a different way, kind of.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would do that. Yeah, because it'll be transformed. Because I can imagine you would have maybe Aramco, you would have sort of Saudia, the air flights. You would have all that kind of branding, I would imagine, across it. I don't think many people complain, but yeah, I think it would. Yeah, it's an interesting way of putting it. You'd be trading, yeah, your pound shop Ashley for a slightly higher end version. But I think that's the problem with the second tier. Would the Saudis really want to walk into a second tier club? It then becomes a financial thing. And the elephant in the room with the financial thing is Mike Ashley. So will Mike Ashley do a deal and sell Newcastle for a championship fee? He wants 300 million for the club for a reason, because that's exactly what he wants to turn a little profit as well as get the money paid for the football club. So I don't believe Mike Ashley knocks £100 million off the price of the football club when Newcastle United are relegated. And the reason I don't think that is because in previous seasons, all he's done is bankrolled the football club to the tune of 25-30 million. Think about it in logical terms. Do you drop 100 million in one summer like that? Or do you say, you know what, there's a 30 million risk here, I'll just interest-free loan it again? For me, the elephant in the room is that I think it's problematic. That I think it's wishful thinking for a lot of people to think, oh, well, it'll drop, well, you'll just accept less money.
But on the last one, do you have any personal views on the takeover? Are you like pro-Saudi for them to come in, or are you more coy due to their human rights and other problems within their country?
Look, I think it's only right, and it's understandable for anybody who's got concerns about the potential investors. Personally, I don't have that level of discomfort.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel accountable for all the actions of Mike Ashley in Sports Direct, nor would I feel accountable for the actions of Saudi Arabia should they own the football club as well. I think that's a really difficult argument to place on a fan or a journalist or whatever's shoulders, which a lot of people have tried to do that. I just don't think it's right on fans to have to carry that burden. You don't choose who buys your football club. And I don't think Manchester City walk around with that burden on their shoulders. I don't think their fans feel that. And I don't think Newcastle United fans would either. But anybody can feel uncomfortable when you read, for example, the CIA report on Khashoggi. You read that and feel uncomfortable. But for me, it's okay to feel uncomfortable about that, and still okay at the end of Mike Ashley, and also be okay to be excited about the potential wash of riches coming to St James's Park.